There is a moment that almost everyone has experienced, but most people ignore. It's that feeling, that subtle discomfort, that internal pause, that quiet voice that says, something about this doesn't feel right. And instead of listening to it, we explain it away. We say, maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. Maybe I just need to give this more time. And that right there is where the cycle begins. Today, we are going to talk about recognizing narcissistic traits early before you get too emotionally invested. And more importantly, how to trust your intuition when it's trying to protect you. Because the truth is, your intuition almost always knows first. The problem is, you don't always trust it. Let's get grounded first. When we talk about narcissistic traits, I want to be very clear. We are not talking about diagnosing people. We are talking about patterns of behavior that you need to be aware of to protect yourself. Because the mistake people make is waiting for something extreme to happen before they take action. But narcissistic dynamics don't usually start extreme. They start subtle. They start with things that are easy to overlook if you're not paying attention. One of the first things is love bombing. This is when someone comes on very strong in the beginning, excessive attention, constant communication, big statements about the future very early on. It feels good. It feels exciting. It feels like, wow, this person really sees me. But what it actually is intensity without foundation. Another trait is a lack of accountability. Pay attention to how someone talks about their past. Is everything always someone else's fault? Do they take responsibility for anything? Or do they always position themselves as the victim? Because someone who cannot take accountability in small things will not take accountability in big things. Then you have subtle disrespect disguised as jokes or comments, little things that don't sit right, backhanded compliments, comments that feel slightly off, but not bad enough to call out. And this is where your intuition starts speaking because your mind might say that wasn't really a big deal, but your body will say that didn't feel right. And that matters. Another big one is inconsistency, hot and cold behavior. One minute they're fully present, the next minute they're distant. You start feeling confused, off balance, and confusion is a major red flag. Healthy connections feel stable. They don't leave you constantly questioning where you stand. Now, here is where this gets deeper because most of the time, these traits are not completely hidden. You see them, you feel them, but you override them. Let's talk about your intuition. Your intuition is not anxiety. Your intuition is not overthinking. Your intuition is not fear. Your intuition is a knowing. It is calm, it is direct, and it does not need to prove itself. The problem is if you have experienced trauma, manipulation, or gaslighting, your intuition has likely been conditioned out of you. You were taught to second guess yourself, to give people the benefit of the doubt, to ignore your feelings, to prioritize other people's emotions over your own. So now, when your intuition speaks, you don't trust it. You wait for proof. You wait for something big enough to justify your feelings. But here's the truth. You do not need evidence to honor your intuition. You don't need something extreme to walk away. You don't need a dramatic ending to validate your discomfort. If something feels off, that is enough. Let's be honest about the shadow side. The shadow is you ignore the red flags. You stay longer than you should. You try to understand them. You try to fix it. You try to make it make sense. And slowly you disconnect from yourself. That's how people end up deep in toxic dynamics, not because they didn't see anything, but because they didn't trust what they saw. Now, the empowered side. You listen early. You don't overanalyze your intuition. You don't negotiate with your boundaries, and you don't need closure to choose yourself. You see the pattern and you move accordingly. That is a completely different level of self respect. So, how do you actually apply this? First, slow everything down. When something feels intense at the beginning, instead of matching that energy, pause. Healthy things can handle time. Manipulation relies on urgency. Second, watch patterns, not words. Anyone can say the right thing. What matters is consistency over time. Third, set small boundaries early. Say no to something small. Speak up about something minor and then watch the reaction. Do they respect it or do they push back, guilt you, or dismiss you? That will tell you everything you need to know. Fourth, stop explaining away your discomfort. Your body is picking up on things your mind hasn't processed yet. Trust that. And finally, be willing to walk away early. This is the hardest part because walking away early means no big ending, no dramatic proof, no full explanation, just a quiet decision that says, this doesn't feel right for me. And that's enough. That is power. I think one of the biggest shifts in healing is when you stop asking, am I overreacting? And you start asking, why am I ignoring what I feel? Because your intuition is not trying to confuse you, it is trying to protect you. And the more you listen to it, the stronger it becomes. The more you ignore it, the quieter it gets. Until one day you don't hear it at all. And that's when you end up in situations wondering how you got there. So, this is your reminder. You knew, you felt it, and next time you can trust it. I will see you in the next episode. And remember, your intuition doesn't need permission to be right.